Here is the life story of a prominent leader of England. It presents the biography of the famous leader of England, Winston Churchill, from a historical perspective, who was one of the most important leaders of his time. Winston Churchill. The story of an inspiring leader. Early life, 1874–1895. Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on the 30th of November 1874 in Oxfordshire, England. His father, Lord Randolph Churchill, was a distinguished politician, and his mother, Jenny Jerome, was an American. Churchill's early education was at Harrow School, where he was not much interested in studies. However, he showed special interest in history and English literature. He was an average student but had a keen curiosity and adventurous nature. Churchill was more inclined towards military life than education, so he enrolled in the Royal Military College, Sandhurst. After graduating from there, he joined the British Army and served in various countries as a soldier. While in the army, he also pursued his interest in writing and journalism. Army and Journalism, 1895–1900. Winston Churchill had an extremely active military life. In 1895, he served as a military observer with the Spanish Army in Cuba, and the war experience provided him with material for his writings. He then served in India and Sudan. In 1899, when he went to South Africa as a war correspondent during the Second Boer War, he was taken prisoner by the enemy forces. But he soon managed to make a daring escape, which is considered one of the most exciting events of his life. This incident brought him international fame and gave a new direction to his career. Beginning of political career, 1900–1914. Churchill started his political career in 1900 when he was elected a member of the British Parliament. He contested and won the election on a Conservative Party ticket. However, soon his ideology changed and he joined the Liberal Party in 1904. He was one of the most accomplished orators of his time and impressed everyone with his reasoned speeches in the Parliament. In 1908, Churchill was made President of the Board of Trade, where he led several reforms. One of the major reforms was the establishment of a minimum wage for workers and the protection of labor rights. He also emphasized health and education reforms, which earned him recognition as a popular leader. World War I and after, 1914–1939. During the First World War, Churchill was appointed First Lord of the Admiralty. During his tenure, he took several important decisions to strengthen the British Navy. However, he had to resign from his post due to the failure of the Gallipoli campaign in 1915. This campaign was a major setback in Churchill's career, but he did not give up and joined the government again in 1917. Churchill continued to be actively involved in politics throughout the 1920s and 1930s. He once again joined the Conservative Party and became Chancellor of the Exchequer. However, his policies during this period were controversial and he withdrew from the political scene for some time. Nevertheless, Churchill continued to warn the British government and public of the dangers posed by Hitler and Nazi Germany. But his views were not taken seriously at the time. World War II and Prime Ministership, 1939–1945. When World War II began in 1939, Churchill was reappointed First Lord of the Admiralty. But in 1940, at a critical time in the war, Churchill was made Prime Minister of Britain after Neville Chamberlain resigned. This was a time when Germany had occupied most of Europe and Britain was under threat. Under Churchill's leadership, Britain fought strongly against Nazi Germany. His inspirational speeches gave the British people hope and courage in difficult times. He said, "We will never give up." And this statement became the hallmark of his leadership. Under Churchill's leadership, Britain won many important wars, and he succeeded in freeing not only Britain but the whole of Europe from Hitler's rule. Post-war life, 1945–1965. After the war, Churchill's Conservative Party lost the general election in 1945 and he had to step down as Prime Minister. However, he became Prime Minister again in 1951 and remained in this position till 1955. During this time he took important steps to rebuild the country and strengthen international relations. Churchill retired from active politics in 1955, but his popularity and reputation remained forever intact. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953. Churchill wrote many books in his lifetime, including his autobiography and books based on history. Demise and legacy. Winston Churchill died on the 24th of January 1965 at the age of 90. His death was deeply mourned by Britain and the whole world. He is considered one of the greatest leaders in British history. His determination, courage and leadership played a vital role in saving Britain and the whole world from Nazi dictatorship. Churchill's legacy lives on today. His leadership not only inspired Britain in wartime, but he also created an important place in modern politics and diplomacy. His tenacity, oratory, and patriotic spirit continue to be a source of inspiration for leaders in Britain and around the world. Conclusion. Winston Churchill was a leader who not only handled his country in difficult times but also made it victorious. His life teaches us that one should never back down from struggles, and with determination any difficulty can be overcome. His life holds an important place in the fields of politics, military strategy and writing. His inspirational leadership and unique personality made him one of the greatest leaders in history. Churchill's story is an example of how one person's willpower and leadership ability can change the history of the world.